anytime the Illinois State Police have had any issues complying with statutory things, it's because we've had instability. You can look at the funds that were swept in 15 and 17 that created some instability within the Firearms Safety Bureau, and that led to, in part, some of the backlogs we had with avoid and concealed carry. We are well within the statutory timeframes now because we've had stability in that funding, the ability to plan for hiring, the ability to plan for new technology to be implemented, and that has allowed us to bring those numbers down. My feeling is the Illinois State Police, you give us enough resources, we can put a man on the moon if that's what the General Assembly wants us to do. Looking at the mission that is outlined here within this bill, we believe we can accomplish that, and we'll be able to answer ready so long as we have that support and those resources.
I presume there's hundreds of thousands of these listed firearms legally owned today, and if this passes, they won't be. How are you going to enforce compliance?
And that will be part of our normal enforcement efforts. When we find something that is not in compliance with the law, either because it's a prohibitor or it's a ghost gun or it's a switch or whatever the case may be that makes it unlawful, that will just be one of the categories that our folks will be enforcing as they come across these firearms. But in terms of the individuals who will be allowed to retain them and they'll be allowed to keep them, that's what some of those additional resources we'll need for the unsworn personnel to set up essentially kiosks to make it convenient for folks to be able to do the process that's outlined in this legislation, so they can keep those. The information is on file with the Illinois State Police pursuant to this statute. That'll be less of an enforcement mechanism and more of a compliance mechanism.
I'm going to quote from Sharon Mitchell, Cook County Public Defender. He wrote an op-ed that basically said there's no Second Amendment on the South Side. He also, that op-ed was in favor of the Bruin decision that you're going to hear from Mr. Vandermyde at the end of this. And I quote, "The truth is, laws criminalizing gun possession not only devastate Black and brown communities, they also fail to achieve one of their primary objectives, reducing the supply of guns on our streets." I didn't say that. Someone that should know better, that has seen the violence, that has helped communities be restored, said that. Bottom line is this bill keeps alive systemic racism as it applies to the Second Amendment. I can take my firearms, my mags, I can go across the border, I have the means. What about the people that don't? What about the people you're just going to criminalize them? There's over 70 counties in Illinois that are 2A sanctuary counties. Those folks aren't going to get arrested. So
I don't know how you're going to enforce this. You can't put us all in jail. Your new bail law just said you can't do that. You will have civil disobedience to where people aren't going to register things. They're not going to surrender things. They're not going to turn them in. So I ask you, what is the enforcement mechanism? Are you going to send the state police house to house? Because as one local law enforcement chief put it in my area, he said, "Todd, you're telling me that I have to go potentially arrest my neighbors, people I go to church with, the people on my son's football squad, the people that come over and barbecue, the guys I see in the bar, they're all now felons?" I don't think that question has been thoroughly thought through. And so, with that, I think you're going down the wrong road. And to sit there and criminalize 2.5 million people in this state, numbers that we're talking about here are staggering. And
obviously, this plane has not landed. With that said, this is our last hearing this year, this calendar year. As I stated in the beginning, please look forward to more robust discussion and more hearings